Okay, we are live now. Hello, everyone. So, this is Joanne Tremarco. Yeah, we're wondering. Yeah, it's the first time we've used this. I've used this, whatever. So, yeah. Let us know what it actually looks like. In fact, would it be possible to even see it myself on the big screen on my own Facebook profile? What about that? That could be funny. Um, yeah, the ultimate last. Okay, so it's showing me, and it's just me. So what's going on? Right. So I need to do something now to put you there. How do I do it? Show in stream. Ah, now I got you. Now I got you. There you
Oh,
are. There
hello.
you are.
Now I feel like I'm your equal. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, absolutely. We can have it like that, or we can go like that.
Ooh. Ooh, I like the view. It becomes us. Oh, this is fine.
Yeah, this is fine, right? So just make sure that you're like in the middle. Yeah, that's it. Cool. All right, cool. All righties then. So, Joanne, how
Hello.
you doing? It's been a
Hello.
long time.
It's been a long time. I haven't seen you for about 4 years,
Yeah,
I
something
don't
like
think,
that.
if
Four
not
years.
more.
God,
In Edinburgh,
four or
a
five
long
years.
time ago.
Yeah, a long time
Before you'd
ago.
been to college.
This is
That's
even
you were on your
happening
way
this
to
year,
college.
right?
It isn't even
What's that?
happening. The last time I saw you, you hadn't even gone to drama school. You were on your way to drama school.
Wow. Okay,
So that's a long time ago.
that's 5 years ago at least. 6 years ago.
Do you
Oh,
think Edinburgh will breathe a sigh of relief this summer, the city? Do you think it'll be just like, oh,
it may do, right? It may do. Yeah. Yeah, it probably will do. They'll be like, we've got our city back.
yeah. I wonder if the city, the whole of the city, the landscape just sort of emigrates, packs its suitcases and goes to the top of Arthur's Seat just to sit out the summer, to sit out August. The spirit, the true spirit of the city, watching all these invaders, like these theatrical invaders. What the fuck are they doing here?
Yeah. From its high horse.
I mean,
Um,
here it wouldn't have its holiday. It would just
yeah.
on its high horse.
So I actually want because you're a performer, aren't you?
I do get on stage. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that. Tell everyone about that, please.
So so do you notice how my voice changes when I start to talk like seriously?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm I make solo theatre shows. I make I'm a fool, so today is meant to be. It's a bit like a birthday, I suppose. April the 1st, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I never really liked pranking at school. It was a bit frightening. Do you remember? April the 1st, like before midday, it was a little bit frightening. Anything could happen to you.
Yeah.
But
True.
yeah. So I was thinking about that this morning, like, you know, I don't think I'd like to be up before 12 o'clock on this day. And a lot of people probably will sleep in today, not having to go to work.
I used to get quite excited. You know what
Children
silly
are
stuff.
playing pranks on their parents right now. Anyway, I diverge.
Yeah, like what silly stuff could happen. You know, that kind of thing. And there'll be always something nationally as well that happens, right? Today.
Yeah, well, yeah, they'll tell us coronavirus is all a big joke.
Yeah. April Fool.
It was a little bit more elaborate than usual, but
Yeah.
yeah, there usually is something national, isn't there? We could do with a good cheer up, I think.
We could. We really could. We're laughing at ourselves.
Yeah. So were you a prankster? I will get back to being a performer, but were you a prankster?
I mean, not on April Fools, really.
No.
I missed that boat. Yeah, I'm a fraud.
You're a fraud, did you say?
Yeah, I'm a fraud fool, not a real fool.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, I don't think I am. I don't think I'm a prankster, because once I was. The first and only time I did an April Fool, me and my sister had been watching the Why Don't You show. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It used to teach kids how to do all sorts of fun things, and we got like a little bit of paper that we teared the edges, and they taught us how to sort of stick one with water to your wallpaper, and another one coming down as if you'd torn the wallpaper, so it's like an echo shape like this.
Oh.
And we did it, and we thought it was the funniest thing ever. And then we called my mum in, Mum, the wallpaper that you've just had put up has been torn. And we got sent to rooms for hours and hours.
Oh.
So since that, no more pranking. The punishment was severe. I hated being sent to my room.
Oh.
It felt like when I was sent to my room, my imagination was banished and locked out the door, and my body was sent upstairs, and I just sit there. Like nothing to do. For some people, it'd be a great punishment. You could enjoy free time, but for me, it was the worst thing ever. Anyway, so no more April Fools. But I am a performer. That's what we were saying.
Yeah.
The question.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You definitely do a lot of fool kind of work, don't you?
Yeah, I make solo shows using this structure that I was taught by Jonathan Kay and the Nomadic Academy of Fools, which is a 7-stage structure into the inner world, and it's a way to create meaningful improvisations that really involve the audience deeply, but also kind of go on a journey and a quest to discover something that's hidden. So I use the archetypes of self-pleasure and also destruction of the sexual relationships and intimacy to create something about healing of the divide between people, and divide between, I don't know whether to use like feminine, masculine binary, but within one being. Anyway.
Yeah.
And it shows about death as well. So I'm sort of like all about these kind of big things that do get talked about a lot, but do they get talked about in a way that's really in the unknown, I suppose. I'm interested in the unknown, going into the unknown. And so that's why this time now is perfect for me. My full training is really good for these times. Like, it's all about the known and the unknown.
Yeah. Yes.
So I asked the question. I thought I had to answer. Yeah, but yeah.
That's brilliant. Yeah. There's a lot in there. Just trying to like unpick it for people. So I've seen your show that you did that year, which you still do, don't you, as well?
Yeah.
Women Who Wank.
Women Who Wank.
Yeah.
And it's still 100%, no, 90% different every time. I'm lying if I say 100%.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. I loved it. Show I saw. Brilliant. I recommended it highly to everyone.
Thank you very much.
And I do recommend it highly to everyone.
Yeah. I think as I've gotten older, it's gotten older too, but it's still just as new and just as relevant. Sometimes because this show has been made way before Me Too movement, and
yeah.
And there was a time when I thought, and I had this conversation recently with Peter Lilly. I thought, gosh, I'm not going to be able to keep doing this. It's not necessary anymore, this kind of work. But it will always be necessary, I think, to be exploring sexuality for so many thousands of years, sort of, out of our bodies in a way. And I think this kind of coronavirus epidemic is proving that all the more in a way, there's this sort of like, when how fear is so easily can so easily run a country, can so easily run the world, human civilization. Everybody I know in every sector is like battling with fear or being embraced by fear.
Yeah.
It feels like a strange, like we still haven't quite, it's this twin relationship with ourselves. Like how do we meet ourselves in this and not get lost, you know, in these times?
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just talking really.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes total sense to me. Yeah, how do we meet ourselves rather than get lost in the fear?
Yeah.
And step
And there's
up.
lots of people making efforts, aren't there? Yeah. Yeah. Step up and also. Sorry, I think we've got.
I just interrupted you, and you were saying something.
No, I think we have a delay. I interrupted you too.
Yeah, maybe there's a tiny delay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So it's something to me. It's about like this inertia and this activity, and how they're twins as well. Like for me now, I'm like, oh gosh, I need to step up, and then it's like, hang on, no, I need to rest. So when I do need to step up, I can step up. There's this kind of this great pause, which is so beautiful, isn't it? This sort of, you know, there's a moment where structures are just opening, like possibility. And yet, meanwhile, I'm one of these spoiled, privileged brats who isn't affected by it directly, lives on my own, doesn't have 14 kids running around the house, doesn't, you know, it sort of divides us as well in that way, doesn't it? I'm making no sense. I think I haven't been out of the house for a few days.
I'm in the same situation.
Just talking.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the same as you, well, I live with other people, but there, you know, no kids around, and I don't have to go anywhere, and actually, I'm really relishing it. Really relishing this opportunity to kind of be more focused in myself, do the creative work that I want to do, and kind of be much more introspective, and take nice walks in nature as well.
Yeah, take nice walks. What? You're out of the house for how long? How many minutes?
So this is another thing as well that I was discussing with my brother, who's also into fooling. He's a fool, actually. You know, a wise fool. And I think you've met. I'm pretty sure you've met.
He came to my workshop recently.
But
in Bristol.
Did he now? Great.
And he didn't tell you.
I'm sorry?
And he didn't tell you.
Yeah, he does quite a lot of workshops. So yeah. That's great news. So the other thing is then that what's going to say about him? I'm going to know. It's gone blank. Where were we?
A conversation I was saying about, I was pretending to school dupe and not knowing how long you've been out of the house. Like, how long were you going for a walk in nature for? And you said, that's another thing I've been thinking.
Okay, yeah, I remember now, Pav.
Was that?
Had a very foolish blank moment then.
Yeah.
So it was about self-policing and policing others. Because like as soon as these like restrictions came in, I'm like, okay, I've got to observe these things. And actually I was already observing these kind of roughly, and and then immediately I see other people not observing it, and I'm like, what? What? Separate these people immediately. You know,
Yeah.
want to go up to them and go, sorry, 2 meters.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can't touch, you can't touch.
Yes, how dare you? You know.
I can see your auras, they're entwining.
Yeah. Exactamente. So,
yeah.
and then what does that say about the rest of our lives in society, and, you know, how quickly that manifests internally anyway, and then how we police each other in other ways. So we had a conversation about that with my brother, which was, it's like kind of like a brainstorm. Like, so how else do we police ourselves?
Yeah. So when I work with Jonathan, this sort of structure is like either the king and the fool, or you could say the dictator and the fool, or the cop and the fool, and that relationship is going on all the time, isn't it? This sort of So when the cop's out, like, where's the fool? Can they talk to each other? Like, how great it would be. I mean, that's a lovely play in itself, isn't it? Like, you out and about with your fool and your cop. You know? People think you're crazy, but maybe that's the time. It's sort of, Go on, after you.
Well, I was just going to say, yes, that's so much sort of magic and play there, and drama as well. I'm curious about, actually, because you brought that up earlier, about the 7-part structure.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a little bit about
that? Sure. So it's a relationship from being at the front with the audience. Hello. You're inside your houses for yet another day of lockdown, and I'm wondering how much you open the windows. The people, some of you may be watching from the top floor of a flat, and you might actually be afraid to go outside the house. Do you remember what it feels like to have wind on your skin? And if you live alone, can you remember what it feels like to touch someone else? Or to be able to get your nose just a little bit closer to them and not worry about breathing on them? And could you imagine, when we get out of here, how long it's going to take for all these fears to finally leave us? I'm afraid. So this little bit at the front is you meet with an audience and you commentate and you demonstrate. So you didn't really see me do that, but like I was imagining a flat, and I took you there in your mind, this flat, person's house in a flat, and then I started to wonder about that flat and who's in it and what might happen. You know, kind of a direction for an improvisation. Like, how long will it take for the fear to disappear when this is all over? Can you remember the skin, the touch of the wind? And then an emotional direction is I'm afraid. So that would be the first part of the structure, right? The second part, because the first part is being in the audience. The fool is always in the audience, comes from the audience. And then that would be the second part here. And then entering further from that into the play that has been set up. And in that, I could play I could play the window, the flat, holding everyone in. Play the lift, the flat, only taking one person up every day, one person down. You know, I could play the air longing to kiss people's skin. You know. And then from that, there's also this kind of area which is the secret, sacred, scared, and the scarred, the sort of the real, you know, the emotionally close stuff about people, about me, about the audience. And that is sort of further back, situated further back from the audience. And then at the very back are the influences, the things, the archetype of fear. Places, working with the audience, checking I'm connecting with them, checking that I'm building up the image in their mind. so that they can use their 50%. I use 50, they use 50. Constantly just working with this sort of rapport, so we are co-creating a thing that has meaning. And with comedy, with lightness, so I'm struggling now because I've never actually done the thing of trying to figure out how to use a computer or technology. You know, I never do Facebook Lives. I avoid interviews like the plague, as you may have noticed. It's been a while. You've been trying to get this. I'm of this thing. I'm terrified of this little dot here that is like, ah! and the fact that it gets kept somewhere in the air forever. Look, I've misted myself. This is the old 1940s techniques of misting up the face. Just on the screen. It was an accident.
It's all right.
So learning how to use the screen, the imagine, because it's always a relationship between how I imagine the audience and the audience in front of me. So here I am only with my imagination and you, but like I have to look at this little dot and you're down here, and so it's a whole new thing for me. How do we discover, how do we fool with technology? But the archetype of fear, you know, it gives me an opportunity to then go and become that archetype and talk to us. You know. It's you know, it's, you've got a responsibility to keep everyone alive.
You've got a responsibility to keep everyone alive, you say?
Imagine if you did.
Oh, if you did.
Imagine if you did go out there and give. Yeah, I know you. Imagine if you were to go out there and give this to someone.
Yeah.
Could you ever live it down? Do you think?
Yeah.
I just want you to be safe. That's all it is. I want you to be safe. Look after yourself. Just, that's it.
Yeah.
So it gets into everything, but behind it, there's always, you know, there's a sort of, the archetype doesn't necessarily say like, be afraid. It would be much more of a kind of a relationship. I'm not really going into it yet, but so this is how the structure works, basically. It's sort of, it talks to you in a kind of cares for you. Fear cares for you. I just want to keep you safe. You know, you can't run. So just, you know, stay home. You know, there's nothing to run from. It's not like a monster. You just need to stay home. But then how much does fear then kind of, you know, get into our immune relationship? I'm trying to explain the structure.
How much does fear get? Because there's unfortunately, I think because everyone's on the internet right now.
Everyone watching right. You. I mean,
it's the internet's just a little bit like dragging and not always catching everything you're saying, unfortunately. Right. But 95%, yeah. So just the last thing you said, then the last kind of. Repeat that, please. If you remember.
The question. It was a question. How much is this fear getting into people's immune systems? Then, you know, how much
oh yeah. Actually, that's been very present for me. That question.
Yeah.
About that, like, how many of the people like are in hospital right now with corona are in there because they've been so terrified that their immune system's being really suppressed and down, and they've got it. You know, it's like question there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The lung. It's just, yeah. The lungs are about grief, aren't they, in Chinese medicine? I don't know. I really relate to that. I don't know whether that's something you relate to. But
yeah, absolutely.
Huge amount of grief that people have been carrying for such a long time. But people are now afraid to cough. I'm afraid to cough. You know, you just want to clear your throat in the morning sometimes. I'm scared that my neighbours are going to hear through the walls and have me arrested. I must say,
unclean. Yeah.
But when I became a fool, the reason I did this was because I thought I'm preparing for the future, preparing for the apocalypse. I need an art form that I can travel with, carrying absolutely nothing, and yet still be able to create in the moment. I can travel from place to place. So I'd set up this tour, which was going to be my final tour across Europe because of Brexit. And I was doing this little kind of place to place, going to go overland to Greece to a festival, which may still happen, Mount Olympov. And then
that sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful in Athens. But then from there, I was going to. So I thought, right, I've got it all sorted. You know, I'm prepared now for the apocalypse. I can forage. I can fool. I'm fine. I can. That's what I need. I can shoot a gun if I really had to. Not that well.
Become a zombie? That's the question. I think it's the ultimate question.
Yeah. I think I might try and appease a zombie. I can do Reiki, you know, I can maybe just about, you know, I know a little bit about herbal medicine. I was ready for the apocalypse. But I forgot that the reason the traveling players stopped playing in the 1600s was because of the bubonic plague.
Oh my God, goddess.
Oh my God, and goddess.
Yeah.
And godex for the non-binariness too.
Yeah. Is that
yeah,
so?
it was the people. That's what kind of slowed them down. The plague slowed down the traveling players because no longer were outsiders welcome. Outsiders used to be much more welcome than women. I hadn't thought about that.
Wow.
The flaw in my plan.
That really has a resonance. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's what you're talking about.
So the fear of the outsider is returned in a deeper way. The fear of
absolutely.
But do you think maybe people will be less afraid to touch themselves in these days? Like, you know, they're so afraid to touch each other, but maybe suddenly we'll. Not our faces, obviously. Anyone below the face is allowed. Instead, it used to be the other way around. Now it's like, this is fine. This is all good. Do not touch the face.
I wonder if perhaps people will be touching themselves more.
It would be great, except for.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Comforting themselves as well.
Yeah.
Just holding themselves.
Just to really feel like hold themselves physically and. Or maybe that's just the privileged ones who live alone. Maybe other people are just going to be even more run off their feet.
Obviously, so I wanted to pop you this question. So you've had your plans cancelled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you had a number of shows kind of lined up.
Yeah, luckily, I hadn't had the energy to put all of, like, there wasn't I knew the tour, I had contacts, I had a couple of books, shows actually definitely confirmed, and others I was still just sort of connecting with people and sitting on. So luckily I hadn't put loads of energy into that. But there was something earlier in the year when I kept thinking, I need to be doing this plan in an organised way. The energy wasn't there for it, so I kept going, I'll do it later. So I'm very happy. I follow that.
I had the same thing going on. I was just plans for April and May, and I was just like, it's not. I can't do it. I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah.
So maybe that was the intuition.
I expect it was. It's always there, right? And
yeah.
And what a lovely chance for, I mean, I feel like such a privileged wanker saying this, but for me, it's a really lovely opportunity. And you said it earlier on to just recheck in with that, recalibrate.
Yeah.
And also learn to trust, like really learn to trust those moments. You know, we both had this intuition and therefore didn't invest too much in these months that we are now indoors. And how often we ignore those intuitions. Like,
yeah. So it's like it can take a lifetime or more, right? To listen.
Yeah. So we're lucky. We are lucky.
Blessed. Yeah, blessed.
Okay. Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so the whole spectre of online play, you know, comes across my mind right now. Like, how might that look? Have you thought about that?
I've been thinking about it, and I tried one first Facebook Live, and lots of people commented about how disastrous my use of technology was, but how lovely and meaningful the performance was. So still I'm able to sort of connect with people's inner worlds, obviously, because people are saying, yeah, I really felt it, but they want something more, you know. My technicalness in terms of the fool on theatre on stage isn't coming across on video. So I'm still kind of, part of me is thinking, okay, so let's make films, and then thinking, let's just try and work out this live relationship. But then I don't know whether I want to be encouraging more people to spend more time online. So that's a big resistance for me. Like, I kind of want to be encouraging people to spend more time not online, like, because there's such a saturation of online content. And so maybe it's audio. Maybe I just turn to audio so people could have me in their headphones walking around and being outside. But then I kind of want people to listen to where they are. You know, it's like, it's a different kind of responsibility, in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, as you know, our podcast is definitely an option.
Yeah.
This will probably turn into a podcast as well. I shall make it so.
You shall make it so.
Yes.
Can you change what I say? Just like change my, just say completely different things.
Yeah, I could lip sync dub, you know.
Yeah.
Or it was a podcast that doesn't need lip syncing. I just,
Oh yeah, that's true.
Stuff my own stuff. Or, you know, like use some software to take your voice and then make you say anything I want you to say.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't read those. I had such opinions.
No, that would be a crime. That would be an absolute
So how's the
crime.
fooling going?
For moi?
For you, yeah. How are you fooling?
Well, I did, and I don't know if you're aware. I don't know if you're aware, but I did a 2018 Edinburgh show.
Tell me about
that was my debut fellow comedy show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I'm kind of proud of myself for achieving. It definitely wasn't a sellout, but I definitely basically did something quite crazy, which was decide to do the show 6 weeks before the show was to start.
Wow.
And put it on and everything within 6 weeks. It was
Wow.
like actually 5.5 weeks, really.
So you weren't in any of the shows then?
No, nothing.
Oh gosh, so that's
No.
hard to get an audience.
Yeah. As I found, it was. But yeah, it was such a journey. It was great, though. Actually, I mean, it was a lot. It was hard, it was hard, but also a lot of fun. And just to be doing something completely on my own, like self-responsible, like everything was down to me. So like I could put my everything into it, or I could like not do anything, and I would have the consequences. But yeah, it was a lot of it was called Happy Zappy Hour, and I just kind of like felt this sort of zany title, Happy Zappy Hour. It's just like ridiculous. And it was a mix of some stand-up kind of comedy stroke storytelling, which was autobiographical and also about roots, identity as well, and history. Kind of race, identity, roots, and history. Personal.
Wow.
One kind of stream of that. Well, obviously you've got to like got to narrow down. You've got to zero in. Otherwise, it's just like it's everything and all these things. So yeah, and then I also incorporated all the things that I like to do. It's like, well, why not just do things you like to do? So there was no fundamental through line through the whole show that like brought it all together, apart from it was me on stage, and that's really okay. For my first show that I made up in like 5 weeks.
Wow.
But yeah, in the future, Happy Zappy Hour 2 would probably be like a theme show, with like a through line. Our minds like to make meaning and through lines. So it was comedy improvised comedy songs as well. There's like 2 or 3 songs. And that would be from audience suggestions.
Nice.
Which is always hairy and scary, and I think pretty much always ended up well.
Yeah.
Just because the pure pleasure of the audience, seeing you just having to like make this song work out from random suggestions, just seemed to work every time, whether it made much musical sense or anything else. It was, there was a strum and there was a beat and there were some notes. It just kind of it worked, and I always loved how I was able to sort of pull it off every time without blowing my own trumpet. Why not blow your own trumpet? Because I guess I did that as well because I felt confident I could do that. So that was enjoyable. And then I had a sketch that I played both characters, and then also some solo, more improv solo, which was I had some wigs and some hats, and then I basically just asked the audience, right, I need a person. I need you to give me like who I am. I need to give me where I am, what my problem is, and then who the other person is, and that's the scene. Like set a scene, and choose the wig and choose the hat, and I'll just play it for you.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's just kind of co-creative.
Nice.
And that seemed to go down really well, and also choose an accent as well, because I love doing accents, right? So, yeah.
So you're good at accents.
I love doing accents.
Ah, great skill.
Yeah, thank you. So it's just like I can do this and I can do this and do this. Let's bring it all together and make something happen like that. And so that was and that was kind of the show really. It was lasted 50 minutes on average. There's a couple of other things that I kind of took out, and then maybe put back in for a day or two and just try and test it, and then took it out again. Yeah, and that was the show. It was at the caves. Yeah.
It was in the caves, so it was just tonic.
Yeah, just the tonic. Yeah.
Gosh, that sounds wonderful. Well done. Well done. So then what happened? You decided not to do it in 2019? You were too busy running retreats, or?
I was just like, it was it was such a lot to do that show. So I did the whole run.
It's exhausting, isn't it?
It's exhausting, and it cost me money. It cost me money. So I was like, I say nah. This year I was thinking, actually, yeah, maybe Jodie could do a show, and then this happened.
Yeah, I thought the same, but and then decided, no, I'm not doing it just before this happened.
Well. Yeah.
I stopped doing it because of the credit card thing. Everyone turning to credit cards, because I used to make money on the Free Fringe with Women Who Wank, because, you know, obviously the title learned to pull people in. And having done it for a few years there, and having done this for 7 years, where it's got somewhat of a following, and it starts to sell itself, you know. So so I thought, oh, great. And then the credit card thing came in, and I just thought, there's no way, when people are running out the door of Free Fringe show, I can get everybody to give a donation, tap, tap, tap on the credit card. So I didn't go back for that reason. I was just like, actually, it used to be a job, and it is a job, and it is my job. How do I make it work?
How do you make it work?
And then people
see Free Fringe, right?
Yeah, because it's the only way to make it as a job anyway, isn't it? It's on Free Fringe. There's no way you can make it work.
Well, I mean, I challenge you on that, Joanne. It's possible. It is possible. I mean, I didn't make any money. I mean, I lost money at Just a Tonic, but I mean, I was a rookie. My first go. There was no PR. There was nothing. It was unknown. So, you know, to get audiences in, you know, I was flying and everything else. But like, I saw people do really well. Obviously, they've been doing it a few years, and you know, blah blah blah. But that was selling tickets, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And solo comedy performers, right? So, and I'm talking like character comedy and stuff. I'm not just talking about stand-up.
So I'm just afraid, aren't I? That's all it is.
What's that?
Afraid of making a laugh. I think it's maybe a fear then. I'm just like, I'm limiting myself. That it's more like I'm afraid of making a laugh.
Success, the greatest failure.
No.
Failure, the greatest success.
But I still don't invite reviewers very often to shows. I just can't be bothered to have to deal with this.
You can get someone to do that.
It's also dealing with the kind of the critic, or the critic is always there in all of us.
Well, that's a whole conversation in itself, right? The inner critic, outer critic.
But this theatre critic, this whole kind of, it's just, I don't know whether I even like the form. I don't read theatre criticism. I rarely agree with a critic.
Yeah.
I just think I'm a little bit too punk to care. And I know it's useful. I know they're really useful. They sell shows, and if you get them to write something nice about you and support you, then you're made. But I'm too punk to care, I think. I care more about everyone in the audience, rather than, it's a bit of having a hierarchy in the audience confuses me. Go on, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just saying I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the other thing you mentioned was, so obviously, like, doing it a paid compared to doing it free fringe. I mean, that's the whole thing as well to talk about. But then the card thing, I wanted to mention about the card thing. So I took a card machine with me.
Okay.
So in the moment of being at, because I also did the bucket as well. Like you had an option in the Just a Tonic to like people buy tickets, or they could also just pay what you want, and that would be like me with the bucket right at the door at the exit, and I would be like holding my card reader. I've also got a card reader, sort of shyly, sort of saying, I've got this, but it was, you know, it's just streams of people, right? So then, yeah. But what happened is that some people were like, oh, well, actually, I don't have any cash, genuinely, and I'd really like to pay you something. And I'm like, cool, just let's go through to the bar and you can pay. So that happened a few times. Yeah. I don't know. I'd love to know what people experienced last year and how people are doing it around the world now in terms of that with cards and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, and again, it's the same thing with like how any crisis really affects obviously the homeless as well. And like you know, I think about that a lot with this generation, how people don't give anymore. Our relationship with money and giving to performers and giving to the homeless and giving to musicians and buskers, it's completely changed. And again, going back to this idea of the itinerant fool, like whole livelihoods have been wiped out, and although you know, it is a livelihood for the homeless to be able to ask for money to be that part of society that depends on that loose change, that donation. Yeah, it's like we have to really adjust, don't we?
Yeah.
So I didn't adjust. Change. I just didn't go. Change. It's change.
Uncertainty. Yeah. I'm aware that you said you have to be somewhere at 10.
I do, and you do as well.
Yeah.
Be somewhere in your house. I mean, this is just a different cyber realm. I'm going to move to a different platform, go to Zoom. What about you? Where are you going?
Call.
You're going on a call?
Yeah, literally a proper call thing. A telephone call.
A telephone call.
Yeah.
With a dial-up, love. With a dial-up.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it's yeah. So I guess we're drawing this to a close. Do you have any parting words? It's been lovely, by the way. It's been amazing. Do you have any parting words?
It's been, yeah. I'm not very good in the morning, so if my thoughts sort of popped up and then disappeared and then popped up again somewhere else, that's why I didn't sleep last night. But no, wise parting words from the wise. I guess it's just, you know, I feel encouraged by meeting with you today, and I would like you to feel encouraged too, to keep doing what you do. And
thanks.
So thank you for bringing this sense of community and this curiosity about fools and clowns, and I find it interesting to meet with you, and again another time to discuss, because you have this aspect of the spiritual kind of work that you're working on, and these sort of energetic realms and dimensions, and how that works with the clown and the fool. So for me, they're very much together. I mean, I put them over here, but they're actually how they work together.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
There's more conversations to be had.
Oh yeah, so many more.
So yeah, here we are in this time with the known and the unknown really kind of rearing their heads, with fear and love really kind of coming to meet each other. I'm excited about where we are, as well as slightly afraid.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, interesting times.
Interesting.
By the way, I wrote a book about the show.
Ah,
Yeah, and I just forgot to mention that because that's kind of important. It's just having it edited at the moment. So, and it's also from the beginning, basically the beginning of the virus, really like I wrote like the rest of the book. Because yeah, it's been at home. And so that's really exciting and encouraging. And everyone who's interested in writing a book, now might be the time. Just saying.
now's the time to write a book. Oh, great. Get your book out there. If we're going to be stuck
Yeah.
indoors, we could be reading it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
I'd love to see it sometime. I'm not a very big reader, but I would love to. If you could audible it for me, that'd be great. I could read it.
I will. I shall.
You shall audible it for me.
I shall audible it for you.
That's a brand, isn't it? We should say something like sticky back tape plastic or something.
So vocalize it.
You should vocalize it for me. That's the one.
Oh.
And also, just to say, I train with Jonathan Kay in the Nomadic Academy of Fools, and they are auditioning in September, providing the world resumes as usual.
Yeah.
Go and be a part and learn this 7-stage structure and a lot more intimacy.
Fabulous. Do you have a website, or how would you like to be contacted if people wanted to see your shows or work with you?
So Women Who Wank is a Facebook page. Full Size Theatre is the company. Joanne Tremarco, you can get me on that. And then the Nomadic Academy for Fools is where you'll meet lots of other fool facilitators like me, Jonathan, and lots of other fools. And it's a 7-year program. So all of those places. Twitter, I don't really use it very often. Instagram, don't use it very often. Don't know about you. I'm just struggling. I can do social interaction, but social distancing, like this is what it is, isn't it? We're already social distancing in the social media.
Yeah.
I find that challenging. Yeah.
Oh well, it's been so lovely talking, and catch you next time, and we'll do more of this.
That would be lovely. Happy April Fools.
And yes, back to the foolishness of April Fools. Happy April Fools.
Happy April Fools.
There's still time to make pranks and do foolish things before midday.
Yes.
What can you do?
Well, yes. Tweet us below with what you did and how you did it.
Yeah.
Your tweet, your foolings, what else you meant to say? Snapchat, your best I don't know what you call them.
Yeah. Gram us your best silly, mischievous pranks.
Yeah. And we probably won't be able to open them because it's a bit too technological.
Yeah, and the internet's screwing us over because everyone's trying to tweet and meme and everything else.
Yeah.
Way through this madness. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it, guys. Have a lovely day. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Jodie.
Yay. Take care. Bye.
There's no curtain.
Bye.